Welcome back. You tuned into the talking point with me, Maria Mia, and as I mentioned in my introduction, we are talking about investments today, and also to educate and empower novice investors. Okay, so I'm raising my hands now to say I'm a novice investor. So yes, I earn, but I'm not very clever in making my money work for me. So yes, I work hard, and then it sits in a bank account, and then I have my spouse who always says, I'm wasting. I use my bank as my mattress. So it's just my money's for safekeeping, but I need to make that money work for me now. And that's what I've realized. One of my goals for Muharram, for this year, Islamic year Muharram, is I need to then invest in ethical uh, vehicles or investment products, and also how to go about investing. And then I was very skeptical. And I think part of my skepticism is because you hear about these pyramid schemes, Ponzi schemes. Of late, we heard about investing in cryptocurrency where people lost thousands and even some millions. And then Salam Media has received many calls to actually try and get hold of people responsible who invested in the owners of an amanat and not amana. I like to say it's amanat investment product, because people lost hard earned money by investing there. So that's why we have now the portfolio manager at Sentio Capital, and that is Brother Imtiaz Suliman. He's responsible for the portfolio management as well as fundamental analysis covering a broad range of sectors. Imtiaz has expertise in equity trading, portfolio construction, and research analysis. Prior to joining Sentio, Imtiaz was a member of the alternate investment team at RMB Asset Management. He was responsible for equity selection across a range of funds, which consisted of the absolute return product range and structured products. So, Alhamdulillah, we are in good hands. I think we have a sound person who will be able to give us sound advice and experience when it comes to the world of investments. So, let's welcome Imtiaz to the program. Assalamu alaikum, Imtiaz, and welcome to Talking Point here on Salam Media.
Walaikum salam, Appa. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So, Imtiaz, before we go into investments, please can you tell us a bit more about Sentio?
Okay. Sentio was started in 2007. So we in our 15th year of existence now. And over that time, the team and company has really grown from just being two people to 20 people now. And our product set has also grown over time. So what we do is we focus on the listed investment space, whereby we invest into shares that are listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and as well as globally. So you look at in the US, you've got the Dow Jones, in Japan, etc. And we also have a number of products which for this discussion, we've got two Sharia compliant products, which is a Sharia equity fund, which has more it targets a higher return, but it comes with a bit more volatility. And then you've got a Sharia balance fund, which is for someone who's looking for stable returns over a period of time.
Okay, so you're going to indulge me here because today we're doing an ABC. You're not speaking to our Ashraf Garda or our brother Lukman, who is very knowledgeable. Yes, I am knowledgeable in a vast variety of fields, but when it comes to my investing and making my money work for me, I must confess I'm quite ignorant in here. As I said earlier, my bank is my mattress. So you're going to help me because inshallah next year this time I'd like to report that I've invested my money somewhere and actually it worked for me. So when you say volatile, you've got two products. First of all, let's just understand. We always speak about Sharia compliant funds, and as Muslim people, we need to invest in Sharia compliant investments or funds. So, can you just explain to us when we're using this word Sharia compliant products? What are they?
Yeah, that's very important. Obviously, being Muslim, you want to make sure that your funds are invested in a Sharia compliant way and also adhere to the rules of Sharia laws. So, for example, when we choose shares to invest in, there's certain rules and criteria that one has to follow to make sure that those shares are Sharia compliant. So, for example, we know as Muslims, we're not allowed to invest in any company that sells alcohol, for example, that sells pork products, that provides gambling services, that takes interest. So the banks in South Africa, they work on an interest-based system, which would be excluded from a Sharia perspective. And then you've also got the broader aspect of Sharia, which is also doing no harm, essentially. You don't want to invest, and you can't invest into those companies that produce weapons, for example, because they provide weapons for wars, for conflicts, and people get injured in those conflicts, and that has a negative impact on society. And it's also making sure that you do good. So you want to make sure that those companies that you invest in, firstly, are Sharia compliant from an overall business perspective. And then there's certain rules, even if you do have a Sharia compliant share. And, I'm going back right down to the basics. For example, you've got MTN, which provides telecommunication services to its customers. But MTN has a bank account. MTN keeps their money in a bank account, and they, as a company, will earn some interest on that money that they keep at the bank. So we, as a Sharia compliant manager, make sure that we calculate how much interest MTN has earned, and we donate that income. And we call that dividend cleansing. We donate that income that comes in from the dividend to charities. And I think you were speaking earlier about Women's Month. We work very closely with a women's charity called Caring Women's Forum, and we donate a lot of that income to these various charities. And this is a sort of purifying source that makes the investment fully Sharia compliant.
Imtiaz, that was really insightful and empowering for me because, yes, while I was away, I would say, you know what, not into SA breweries or a company like you say, somebody will, maybe one of those major meat producing companies would have also halal meat, haram meat, and pork and that. But for me, the important thing is here. Uh, Investment do no harm companies and those that are ethical in that. So, and also I didn't, because for me MTN is MTN, and I would have probably just gone and bought MTN shares on my own and not come to a portfolio asset managers as Sentio, where you would then make it uh, I mean, go and study, and I mean that's what you do, analyze. You an analyst, so analyze what percentage will be credit interest earning, and thereafter. So basically, when I invest, or when people invest with Sentio, you also ensure that our money is purified. So you'll do this, and Alhamdulillah, all the money that goes towards your partners in terms of your charitable, you get investors also get an opportunity to earn some rewards there as well. So for me, it's an all round thing. So thank you for this, because this is truly empowering what you said. And then your tagline is invest for good. So when you say invest for good, you've actually explained to us this. Can you just expand upon a little more besides the corporate social responsibility initiatives?
Right. Yeah, I think what's important is, when we do invest, and we're not talking about just investing on behalf of the clients, which is very important, but it encompasses everything that we do. So invest into our business, invest into the people that are part of Sentio, invest into the communities, as I mentioned, with the charities that we partner with, and then also ethical companies which are able to provide services that will benefit mankind and humanity, and also not do harm, as you mentioned. For us, it's important, and for a investor into the products, where the comfort does come in is from a Sharia perspective. We have our own Sharia board, and this is an external independent board that looks at all the activities that Sentio does from an investment perspective. They look at each and every company that we buy for our investors or clients, and they make sure that we follow the rules of Sharia, and we are investing into companies and assets that are Sharia compliant. And it's important, that they're independent, so they're not part of Sentio. They independent muftis and scholars that are well regarded, in the community. They've studied a lot in terms of fiqh. They've studied a lot in terms of Islamic finance, and they provide the governance around the products that we provide to investors. And this gives investors the comfort that, Sentio make sure that we invest into Sharia compliant instruments, but there's also an external party that makes sure, again, that those instruments are Sharia compliant.
So Capital does not act unilaterally, even when it comes to Sharia for products. In that, so I mean, that's really comforting to know. So now I'm going to put you on the spot here. Before that, I spoke earlier because you know what? At Salam Media, we're a humanitarian platform, and we amplify as well as provide voices for even those that have been, prejudiced, who experience loss. And in this case, we have many, many writing to us saying they've invested with a certain investment company or investment house, and now they've lost their hard earned savings. They have no recourse. They are looking to a platform like Salam Media, if we could facilitate or create awareness in that. So, where and how do I then invest to know I'll get my investment is protected, or it's a regulated investment? Because sometimes even advertise on mainstream media, on Islamic media, you might have many investment opportunities, and yes, everybody's looking to make a quick buck through your investment. But how do you know that you have what can you take comfort in the fact that I've invested with my money with people who I trust, and also who are not going to take my money and then we're not going to find them anymore and authorities are looking for them. So how do we safeguard? Yes, investment is a risk, and also you're investing in markets that can be volatile, and that I understand that part of it. But for people who just take your funds and then maybe you can't find them out there, authorities are looking, becomes a criminal case. How do we arm ourselves in terms of protecting our investment from such type of risk and loss?
I think from an investor perspective, it's very important to firstly do your own homework, make sure that you're comfortable with the company or the people behind the company that you're investing in. And it's very important to also be very cognizant of what's being promised. So if the returns are too good to be true, they probably are too good to be true. If someone's offering 40, 50, 100% returns, you have to take a very clinical outlook and say that's not possible. It might be possible in certain circumstances, but there's something very wrong, because markets assets don't go up to that amount over the long period of time. And then secondly, you need to look at the regulatory aspects of the company, whether they regulated by the regulator in South Africa. We've got the FSCA, which is the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, and Sentio Capital is a regulated financial services provider that provides an added layer of comfort to an investor, that all the activities that happen within a company like Sentio is being scrutinized by the regulator. We have to submit reports to them on a annual basis. We have to hold a minimum amount of capital to make sure that the business is sound from a capital perspective. and then also the type of vehicle that you go into. A lot of the investments that you talk about, it's not regulated. What we do is we invest, or the investors that come to Sentio Capital, they invest into a unit trust. A unit trust is really an investor buying units into a fund. And this Sentio Capital's bank account. It sits in a trust that's separate. And even if something had to happen to the company, the funds are safe, they're ring fenced, and they're separate from the company itself. So investor puts money or buys units into the unit trust. This allows them to gain access to whatever underlying instruments the investment manager like Sentio would buy. So, for example, we'll go and buy MTN shares, we'll go buy Vodacom shares. But from an investor perspective, they're just buying one unit. They don't have to worry about the Sharia compliancy because that's all taken care of within the unit trust. And importantly, it provides the liquidity. So if an investor comes in today, in one month's time, they need the money, they need to sell, they can sell out immediately and they can get the money back. It's not like some of the other investment products out there where you have to wait, you can't get your money back. There's issues around the returns. It's the unit trusts are priced daily. There's a price every day for the unit trust, so the investor can see exactly today my units are worth so much, tomorrow they're worth X amount, etc. So that's an added layer of comfort. But one point I do want to touch on and just make a point is, if from an investment perspective, don't go and chase those high returns. If you, as an investor, make consistent savings into an average product over a long period of time, that will beat any of the fancy products out there.
Yes, so like you say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So stay away from there and make sure you do your homework, do your diligence, and yes, uh, invest with a company that is regulated by the Financial Services Board as well. So um, I like what you said in terms of Sharia compliance, in terms of, I mean, the company is reporting to another authority as well. You have an independent Sharia board in that. So then, where do I find? How do I get hold of Sentio Capital? And if I'd like to invest there, where would you find Sentio Capital?
Yeah. So we on all the social media platforms. I think the easiest way and the where there's a lot of information available is on our website, which is www.sentio-capital.com. You can find us on LinkedIn, on Twitter. We've got pages on that. But from an investor perspective, it's very easy to come into the Sharia funds because the two Sharia funds are on the Easy Equities platform. We basically, what the Easy Equities platform is a it's sort of like if you are equated to an online platform, an investor can go, they can sign up, they can put their money into the Easy Equities account, and they can and they can choose to buy the Sentio Sharia funds from that platform. And it's very simple in terms of the sign up process, the FICA verification process, and also buying units into the fund. So that's the easiest way. And if they do want more information, there's a lot of information on the website. There's contact details there. And if they do want to speak to someone, they can also contact the company directly from those details that are available.
Okay, so I think especially if I think now we do all our purchasing and that online. So yes, if we need, we can just check your website, all the information about the company profile, who you are, what type of products Sencho offers. We'll be able to get this. And if you're ready to invest, go to the Easy Equities website and we find essential products there. And yes, then you look forward to come Muharram 1445. Let's just see if you saved enough for something on your bucket list or your wish list. So make your money work for you. So, this is indeed empowering for me. insightful, and I hope for my listeners as well. And for a novice investor, I've truly learned a lot about this in terms of trust, and I feel safe in terms of what you said. If you invest in a trust, your money is ring fenced. So irrespective of consequences outside that, you have that safety net as well. So inshallah, I'm going to part ways with my electronic mattress or my online mattress. It's my bank account, and let's just put some of it into savings and let's earn the dividends, but while it's still being ethical and Sharia compliant, so you don't take away your barka aspect, and you still ensure that those earnings remain halal. And I think that's for any Muslim person that is now important when we come into investing. Is there anything else that I've left out or you'd like to add there, please, in conclusion?
Yeah, Jazakallah. But yeah, I think you summed it up quite nicely. As I mentioned, from an investor perspective, make sure you do your homework. You're comfortable with the company and the people behind the company. Make sure you're consistent in your savings. I know times are tough. Often it's difficult to save and have a little bit to save, but whatever you can put away, those savings will help you reach your financial goals. So if you want to save for umrah trip or holiday or whatever it is for children's education, the most important thing, again, I would like to stress is make sure you allocate to your savings. And as those savings compound over time, they will grow, inshallah. They will give you the ability to meet those financial goals, whatever it may be. And, over time, that will make all the difference. And I just want to end off with, the quote. They say, when is the best time to plant a tree? And it's 20 years time. And when is the second best time to plant a tree? And it's today. And it's the same with savings. If you haven't started 10, 20 years ago, start today and make a concerted effort to save.
Shukran. I'm taking advice. I'm starting today, inshallah. And yes, I'm going to nurture the tree, water the tree, and inshallah, as you spoke about Umrah in everybody's hearts here, and I think things are open there, inshallah. So yes, my saving will be inshallah for Umrah. Always remains on your bucket list, and making Hajj never ever gets off that bucket list. So you've given me also um, motivation why I need to save now, inshallah. Shukran for joining us here. And inshallah, we hope to talk to you in the future on various aspects regarding financing, especially for novel finance. Novel investors such as myself. This is Imtiaz Suliman, and he is a portfolio manager at Sentio Capital. May you be under the mercy and protection of the Almighty. Assalamu alaikum.
Amin. Jazakallah. Wa alaikum salam.
We're going to go for a short break. And when we come back, we're going to be discussing who I said, or we're not discussing, but acknowledging the silent sisters. All this after the break.